I've challenged myself to update my daughter's bedroom and only spend $100. The first thing we're going to tackle is her dresser. My name is Sarah, and I like to take things that are ugly and beat up or pulled out of the trash and make them beautiful again. Welcome to my channel. My daughter's been begging me to update her bedroom for a while, including this dresser that she's been using like this. It was kindly given to us and it's been very useful, but it is a little rickety and beat up, and it's time for a refresh for this dresser. Now, I always start by taking the hardware off before cleaning, and as I was taking the hardware off of the drawers, I noticed most of these plastic drawer glides were broken. So I pulled those off of 3 of the 4 drawers. Also noticed that the metal drawer glides inside of the dresser were also rickety, so I'm going to need to do something to tack those down better. And then I also noticed on the bottom side of the drawers, those drawer glides have just been tearing it up and putting these deep tracks in the drawer bottom. So I'm going to need to patch those as well. As usual, I use my simple green cleaner to wipe these down, and then I come back with a damp towel to kind of get any cleaning residue off that might be left. I started off with sanding with 120 grit sandpaper and sanded those drawer fronts down to get the bulk of the stain off. With the base of the dresser though, it didn't seem to be as nice of wood. The top, it was like a laminate top. If you've watched some of my last videos where I've had issues with paint sticking, I didn't take any risks this time, and I used 120 grit sandpaper, and I scuffed this sucker up so bad so that there would be no question as to whether paint would stick or not. I like working with slightly older pieces because the finish comes off very easily. So hand sanding this little detail around each drawer was not hard at all. And I love an easy sanding because this can be very time consuming. So after doing the 120 grit sandpaper, I did 180 on all of the drawers, and I did that by hand as well, the 120 up to 180 on the edges. Now, at this point, I can still see the outline of the previous handles, and that I think just happens as the sun hits a piece and there's a certain area that the handles block that over decades it ends up changing the color of things, and so when you pull the hardware off, you can still see the outline. So the way I took care of this is I dampened just those areas because the water raises wood grain. And I let that sit for a little bit and then came back and sanded them down. And that worked. I got most of them off, but I also picked hardware that was kind of bulky, planning on covering any excess with the holes or leftover image from the previous hardware. So after I was done with the 180 grit sandpaper, I wipe everything down so that I can get all the dust off that I can. And then I went in with my 220 grit sandpaper and finished these drawers off. They're ready for staining, and they're nice and smooth. Now for the bottoms, I mixed up some Bondo. I decided to go with Bondo because it dries hard, and I thought it would be kind of a protective layer for the bottom of the drawer with those metal drawer glides and kind of be its own glide in a sense. So I filled in all those cracks with Bondo, and once it dried, which I learned the hard way, you want to get it when it's fresh dried and still kind of soft and not like hard dried a day later. So 15, 20, 30 minutes later, I come back and sanded that down. I probably used the 180 grit sandpaper. Now for fixing the metal drawer glide parts, they're loose. So I pulled the staples out that were holding those down. I Bondo filled the holes because I need to reattach these, and I wanted something harder than wood filler. And I realized I needed to take the back off of this piece and address the back side of the drawer glides. They were also kind of wiggly and loose, and so to help hold them down better, I just nailed the staples in better back there. That stabilized it better, but the front needed anchored down much better than those staples did. So I decided to get screws and screw them in because the very bottom drawer glide was very firm and somebody had screwed it on in the past. So I thought, great idea. I hand screwed these in. I did not drill a pilot hole because I didn't think I could get my drill in here. So I just hand screwed them in. I think I bruised my hand, but it's fine. A number of the drawers were wonky and wobbly. One I could just kind of re-glue back together and clamp and let it sit overnight. Another one I had to disassemble pretty completely and take some nails out. I'm always impressed that someone can nail straight into this thin wood. Blows my mind. I don't think I could pull that off, but I was able to glue this all back together and then clamp it. I wasn't so sure that I got it nice and square, but it was good enough. It'd be fine. So that sat overnight, all clamped up and ready and tight. So my primer I have is actually tinted gray, which is very close to the color my daughter picked for her dresser. I thought that was convenient and funny. Now, I have seen other people in videos suggest using plastic bags on your paint tray so that when you're all done, you can throw the bag away and you don't have to do the cleanup and you don't have to spend money on the liners because everybody has plastic bags. And I tried it and it was a bit of a pain in the butt. However, once I got it figured out and you need to tie the edge of the bag down so it doesn't move, it actually worked pretty good. So a little trial and error, but I got it worked out. Now, I already had plastic drawer glides to add on to the bottom backside of these drawers, so I made sure and did screw pilot holes in for these. I didn't want to crack anything. I was really nervous. They kind of poked through on the inside, but oh well, it'll hold. Now, I just did a coffee table and used the stain Early American and thought it looked gorgeous, so I thought this will look beautiful on this piece as well. And I was disappointed. This wood did not stain the same way as that other wood. I don't know what this is. It's a white wood, maybe poplar. I don't know, but it didn't look the same. I ended up putting 2 coats of stain. I thought the deeper would work better with the gold hardware that I bought. It'll work. It wasn't what I was envisioning, but I can make it work. I did 2 coats of this. It's kind of a baby blue color. I'll put it in the description of the name and brand. And then I also needed to glue on one last little piece I found in my daughter's closet when cleaning it out for this room makeover. And I thought, oh, that goes to a drawer. I will just glue that back on. So really there's like 3 parts to these drawer glides. There's the metal part we already addressed. And then there's the 2 plastic parts. One I already assembled on the back side of the drawers, and another one is these little plastic pieces in the corner. I'd never seen them before, but they're pretty prevalent on Amazon, so it must be common. I needed to replace a couple of these. It was a little challenging. They kind of stuck out a little. I'm concerned putting the drawer in so that it'll be okay, but it is what it is. Now, for the backboard, I was going to cut a new one because this one's kind of stained from, I assume, water. But I decided to be resourceful and just reuse this piece that I already have. I'm not selling this. It's in my daughter's room. It's going to be against the wall, so it'll be fine. The inside looks fine, other than all the holes from all the staples that I'm pulling out. Now, in trying to reattach it, I thought, I have staples. I'll use a staple gun. It'll be fine. But I only had these teeny tiny ones and then like 1/2-inch staples. And I needed like something in between because the teeny tiny ones were too short, wouldn't hold anything. And the long ones were too long and stuck out like crazy. But you know what? I got it. I decided I'll just nail them down. You know, they go in mostly, and then I'll just nail them flat. It'll hold. It'll be fine. It's probably not ideal, but it'll be fine. Now we're at the fun part, where we get to put on the hardware and put this baby together. I was excited, looking forward to seeing this all come together, but when I went to put the drawers on, they wouldn't go on. And it turns out the drawer glides that I had don't fit the metal drawer glide that was already there, and it didn't cross my mind to try this before putting them on. So I was disappointed, and I will need to find new drawer glides. But in the meantime, I took them off of all 3 drawers. One had its original glide on, and that's still on, and decided to put it together anyway. And I will get it. I'll get those, but for now, let's look back at where we started and the dated piece that this was and go into the final reveal. Thank you for watching this part 1 of my $100 challenge series, and I will hope to catch you in my next video.